Namaskar. Welcome to another edition of Navimash podcast. So we are back with our Sunday 8 p.m. session. So today we have a very interesting session. As you can see from the thumbnail that we have created, we're going to talk about Hindu Rashtra. So Hindu Rashtra is a very sometimes divisive, sometimes controversial, and sometimes it has a lot of people who talk in different terms. What entails when we talk about Hindu Rashtra? People who are watch us regularly, they will know. Correct? There's a book called Hindu Rashtra Darshan by Veer Savarkar, where he talks about the contours of Hindu Rashtra. But in this modern context, when Bharat is a secular democracy, and when people talk about making Bharat a Hindu Rashtra, what do we really mean? So I came across an article written by Mr. Diganta Chakraborty, who is, you can see, is here. And let me show the article to the audience itself, and then we will start the podcast. So we are going to discuss this specific article published in the organizer, okay, where Mr. Diganta Chakraborty, the writer, has actually discussed the specific contours of what is the problem with Hindu Rashtra, real problems or a narrative to defame Hindus. So this article actually discusses in detail all the contours, all the controversies, what it really means politically, sociologically, religiously. So I thought, okay, this important article which has come out, let's discuss this with the author himself, and also have the guest speaker, Mr. Dr. Kaushik Gandopadhyay, who is also has done some research and some study on this. So welcome to both of you. Namaste.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Okay, so I would request, as we are going to talk about the article itself, so I would request Mr. Diganta Chakraborty to just give us an overview of why you wrote this article and why it is important that we need to discuss this today at the 70 plus years of our independence as Bharat.
Namaskar. First of all, thanks for having me in this session. We are going to discuss a very sensitive and a crucial topic. You have mentioned in this thumbnail: is Hindu Rashtra is a real problem or not? So when we are going to talk about Hindu Rashtra, first we have to understand what do we mean by Rashtra or nation. And it's not perfect to say Rashtra and nation are the same. In Rabindranath Tagore, in his writing, uh, from his writing, we get an idea that of nation. He used to say that there is no such word in Bengali that can properly translate the meaning of nation. But here
Uh,
in the
Digantoda, I think your audio is cracking. Audience, if you can just confirm whether the audio is okay or not, because from my end, the audio is a little bit cracking. So just wanted to check.
yes, let's check and tell me.
Yeah. Can you check whether like your connection is
My
okay?
connection is okay. I am connected with my Wi-Fi, so
But your video is actually freezing little bit.
is it okay now?
Uh, okay. Do one thing. Yeah. No. Please continue. Continue.
Okay. So, as said by Rabindranath in his many writings, that nation and Rashtra are very different from meaning. But here in the most case,
Diganata, your audio is cracking. The audio is cracking.
uh,
Yeah. Can you just turn off your video and just speak, and we will see, because your audio is very it's cracking very badly.
now is it okay?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead and speak.
Okay. Let's continue.
Hmm.
So, what is a nation? Is it just a piece of land and geographical boundaries, or something more? It actually made by the people of that land, which makes it in a nation. To borrow the words of Swami Siddhananda Maharaj of Ramakrishna Mission, for a nation to come into existence, there has to be something common which gives the entire group of people an common identity. And if that not there, nation doesn't come into existence. In this world, especially in the West, there is a common context behind the emergence of every nation. For example, in the case of France, it is the French language And those people who are very proud of their language have created a common nation called France. Similarly, in the case of Germans and Chinese, they share their own sentiment. Now, from this context, another question can come in our mind: what went to making India a nation? For our country, the context is completely different from others. It did not come into existence based on one language, race, or something else. In this case, is very different and unique. According to Swami Vivekananda's language, we are a totally different nation which has been in existence in ancient times. But it's very unfortunate that our school textbooks taught us that the British came to this country and first made us a nation. This is one of the most blatant lies that have been told to us since our childhood days. So it's the falsest narrative created by the Europeans to defame our country and the world oldest civilization. So what transformed this country into a nation? It is not the language, because here people speak more than 1,000 language. According to the Constitution of India, there are 22 official languages, and Census of India identifies 122 major languages, and more than 1,600 languages are in our country. Just imagine how different linguistic features we carry. This highlights the rich linguistic heritage of Bharat. It also states that every 100 km there is a language change in India. So this is not the case of language that makes us in a nation. Swami Vivekananda says that what went into the making of India as a nation is one common ideology, and that is the great ideology of the Vedas. The central idea of Vedas is dharma. And when we talk about dharma, some very critical problems emerge, especially regarding how to translate this term. Some people say it is religion, but the meaning of dharma is very, very broad, and it should not be translated as religion. When it comes to any topic about dharma and spirituality, I must say that English is very poor language to clarify these topics, because as we know, English is a language from West, and West, being a material civilization, doesn't have that vocabulary to convey such broader meaning of dharmic ideas. In the case of Semitic religions, if you are to be religious, you must have to be subscribed to specific book and follow it. In the case of Christianity, it is the Holy Bible, and for Islam religions, it is the Quran. However, we talk about Hinduism, it is not based upon a single book. The Vedas, which are the very foundation of Hinduism, are not a book. Our system, Hindu Dharma, has never been dependent upon a single book or a single personality. From here, I want to make the point why Hindu Rashtra is not a threat for other religions. And we should keep it in mind that India was a Hindu Rashtra from the very beginning. And here I want to clarify that it is not an idea of RSS or Sangh. It has emerged before the establishment of RSS. But the thing is that though the RSS carries the Bharati ideas, it is one of their core ideas. According to Vivekananda, what is Hindu Dharma? Vivekananda used to say, Hindu Dharma is the soul of Bharat Varsha. And of course, here I am not talking about only today's Bharat, but also but also the entire Indian subcontinent, which was a Hindu nation, as mentioned is our Vishnu Purana. Uttaram yat samudrascha himadrascha iva dakshinam varsham tad bharatam nam bharati yatra santati. From today's Afghanistan to Myanmar, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, it was the entire Bharat, which was a Hindu nation, which was a Hindu Rashtra. In Mahabharat, we have got the name of Mata Gandhari and her birthplace Gandhar, which is now Taliban captured Afghanistan. So, the Islamic invasions and religious conversion are the main reason which changed the geography and identity of our country. Swami Vivekananda tried to find out which is the main thing which bind this entire land, the people of this vast nation, as Bharatiya. And he found that it is none but the ideas of Vedas and Hindu Dharma. And that's why Shamaji said in a letter to Justice Subramaniam Iyer from Chicago on 3rd January 1895, where he wrote, each nation has a main current in life. In India, it is Hindu Dharma. Make it strong, and the waters on either side must move along with it. This is one phase of my line of thought. This letter clarifies the need of Hindu Dharma for our country. Now, what is the problem with Hindutva or Hindu Rashtra? Is it really a problem or a portrait in front of us as a problem? This will be the topic of our discussion in this next phase.
Thank you, Diganta. If you can see, if you can turn on the camera, it would be okay.
Hmm.
Or if the voice breaks, then we will go back.
Hmm. Hmm.
Kochik sir, thank you for your time. I know that you are not doing well in terms of health, so we really appreciate you giving us time and sharing your thoughts. So I just want actually why I asked you to come on this podcast is that I had seen a podcast where you had discussed in Bangla with Scholarship Kolkata on the contours of Hindu Rashtra. So from your perspective, from a sociological perspective, from a political perspective, and also from a religious perspective, how do you see Hindu Rashtra if tomorrow Bharat becomes officially Hindu Rashtra? What will happen?
So basically, thank you very much. Firstly, Navo Vimarsh channel for having me here. It is also nice to be first time with Diganto, whose articles I have read. Now about Hindu Rashtra, you have to go back. If you just go back 100 years ago, all nations had a religion because that used to define the moral fabric of the nation. Just 100 years ago. Even if you look at United Kingdom today, it is a Christian nation. The flag of the United Nations have two crosses. One is called Saint George's, one is called Saint another Saint's cross. So they are sort of side by side. This there. And this is actually, you are talking about the most authentic sort of state based on whom our constitution is based upon, right? So, I mean, when you look at our constitution, we all know that it is 80% comes from Government of India Act, which is passed in the British Parliament in 1935. So, from all this point of view, it is sort of clear that moral fabric cannot come from vacuum. It has to come from a civilizational background and existence. So the idea of Hindu Rashtra was not actually a religious state. Idea of the Hindu Rashtra is a civilizational state. We have to carry forward the civilizational mandate or vision that we have, right? Of course, Diganta said, Tagore's words, the nation is not exactly our concept. I sort of agree with Tagore with that. That nation is sort of not our concept. We are more sort of fluid entities. Nation sort of freezes things, geography, people, history in one sort of container. That is not how we are. But at the same time, this is the age of much more centralization. And in this age, we have sort of come up with this concept of nation. We have to abide by that. From that point of view, then we have to transform our civilizational vision into a nation, right? So like China is a Chinese state. It is given in the state, it is said it is given by Chinese socialism. Socialism with Chinese characteristics. So even for Chinese state, the China is civilizational is coming fast, right? Chinese characteristics is coming fast, even though it's socialism and all, right? Similarly, we could very well be a sort of a socialist state or whatever you call it, but we could be guided by our vision, our civilizational vision. And of course, it is a Hindu civilization that everybody knows. Even Voltaire appreciated like 200 years ago or so that it is the Hindu civilization that is considered the greatest civilization. So there is, I see no problem with that. Now, those who try to, the problem is that there is a continuous propaganda, and it is sort of said that this Hindu state is a mirror version of Islamic state and all this sort of thing. Is a problem. The problem is that the word religion is a word that again has no synonym in India. We have dharma, which sort of broadly translated into moral force or law, that sort of a thing, universal law, that sort of thing. Now, I mean, of course, Diganta said it, of course. It's sort of well known in the circles who know India, right? Now, problem is when the Christian missionaries, they came in the 19th century, they wanted to give India sort of a Indian religion. Otherwise, they would not be able to show that the Christianity is a superior religion. So they have to create a religion and show it's inferior. If there is no religion, with whom would they fight, right? So we cannot really have a wrestling with a shadow. So you have to sort of create a religion first. So they give a religion called Hinduism first, and then we Hindus took it too seriously. We Hindus took it even more seriously than the Christians, and we sort of said, well, if a Christian religion discriminates against the heathens, or Islamic religions discriminates against the kafirs, or dhimmis, they keep it as called status called dhimmi in the Islamic State. We Hindus must be discriminating. That is sort of a very awkward notion, because all the values of secularism that we know of, that it is essentially being non-discriminative to all, being sort of respectful to all. These used to be considered Hindu values in the time of Swami Vivekananda. He said in the Chicago also that, I'm coming from religion that actually says that all paths actually are sort of in the Chicago speech, right, in 11 September 1893, that I'm coming from religion where everybody says that all paths are sort of true to an extent, or that sort of a thing is sort of said. So that is the Hindu values. There's nothing secular. The word secular even did not know, right? Hindus did not know the word secular back then. Still, we know all this secular sort of understanding that we call it. Now, my problem is elsewhere. My problem is, suppose you make it a Hindu state instead of a secular sovereign democratic republic, you write it Hindu socialist, you want to keep it, not, I don't know, but Hindu democratic republic. Would it change anything? My answer is no. Because just by, if you replace a word here and there, it's a token. To really make it a Hindu state, you need to change many things that we kind of consider. So, I'll give one or two. First, I'll just go to the preamble in the Constitution. In the preamble of the Constitution, you have the equality, fraternity, and what's the other term?
Secular sovereignty.
No, equality, fraternity, and yeah, it will come to my mind. So the terms we have used, these are actually Christian ideas. They actually come from the French Revolution. So those, I have no problem with their values from their background and all, but it is not actually the Hindu values. So many of us try to say that equality is a Hindu value. No, equality in this world is not a Hindu value. So liberty, equality, fraternity. So these are the values that is sort of being talked about. So the equality and these are not Hindu values. Fraternity, all these three values, if you go little in deep, they are not actually what we see. So, for example, if you look at the equality, so the idea of the equality is actually Christian idea. God created Adam, and based on the image of God, Adam, everybody is created by God, so we are all equal. But we don't say that. We said we have not been created by anyone. We have been created by justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So justice is sort of inserted later, but these three as the core. Three. That's why all the flags in Europe, they're like three stripes, three colors, representing liberty, equality, and fraternity. So the point is, now equality, when we talk about it, we essentially don't mean to say that we are all equal. We are all expressions of the divine, which you come Brahman. We are going to be equal. That is the idea. And that's why we call it dharma. And then eventually when you become realized Brahma, you become equal. So if you look at Hindu education, education is actually different for different varnas or different jatis. Jatis have different education. They all specialize in different domains. So that way we create the idea of the diversity. It only can happen if our educations are specialized from the very childhood and people can get it, right? So that you cannot allow even now, because we are sort of under the spell of equality. This is what I also talked about in my book, The Majoritarian Myth. Our idea is Satyam Ahimsa. This is our idea. If you are thinking what we want to say, equality, non-discrimination, that comes through our principle of Ahimsa. Don't be a sort of Don't be violent in your words or in your action or even your thoughts to anyone. That is what we call ahimsa, and that is what it is, what we call roughly the idea of equality. The idea of then liberty. Liberty, actually, the liberal, right? The word comes from the same root. So essentially, it says of extreme individualism. That is again not good in our context. If you are in a society, you have to have a social responsibility. See, in our constitution, we have the words of social, rights. But in India, rights are not important. The important thing is who will give you rights. So they West believes in God, and now God has changed to state. The state will give you rights. We don't believe in so much in God. Our idea is dharma. If you follow your dharma, your duty, and your duty to society, duty to family, duty to yourself, then you will have a harmonious existence. That's called dharma, right? Dharma rakshati rakshaya, dharma rakshati rakshita. So that is the idea. Now, if you look at from that point of view, liberty is also not a right word. We want to have both individualism and collectivism. We don't want to give extreme sort of individualism. You can have extreme individualism, but you can't be a part of then the society. Then you have to leave society. That's what we call sannyas, extreme sort of repudiation of the life, right? And that is what they are sort of entitled to them. The third idea, this fraternity is again a problematic idea. If you are really all dharma, you have to do the justice to all, and the justice to the idea of the ahimsa will take care of. And suppose someone is not doing good to you, then you sort of have to, uh, if the problem of this violence in the other's action is within that person, then you have to resist that. That's what the job of a Kshatriya, that is the job of the Hindus. I mean, a particular Varna Kshatriya, and that is sort of the idea. Again, the idea of fraternity has absolutely no meaning. Whatever the right thing, equality, fraternity, you say it is coming under ahimsa, but the crucial element that is missed in all these three statements is called what is called satya, the reality. The reality has to be always acknowledged, right? We talk of scientific temperament and all. That is, we are already it. Satya. You look at the reality. Reality has to be always sort of acknowledged. And if someone is not catering to reality, there is a problem. It will create hingsha. You have to stop it. So these views has to be there. Now, unless we just say these things, unless we change the name Hindu or tokenism, there is a problem with the Hindus. I don't know, is it coming from our idea of Murti Puja? I mean, Murti Puja is an excellent thing and all, but it's a great art form. But we cannot really consider ourselves, do the upasana of Murti and forget about it. The idea of the Murti is a construct so that we become what we are the Murti is trying to portray. If you can't really become that, then the problem of doing this Murti Puja is a problem. And the same thing is happening in our tokenisms. In everywhere, Hindus are too fond of tokenisms. Some token things comes, whatever happens in reality, you don't care, right? So that's why we have departed from Satta a lot. So that is so just replace these words socially secular by Hindu. I don't think that will accomplish anything. If other things has to be inserted, the idea of the responsibility has to be inserted instead of the rights. Rights are not great. Rights will come automatically if everybody does their duty, right? So the idea of the dharma has to be there. The idea of the satta ahimsa has to be there. The idea of the Hindu values are satta and ahimsa instead of this equality, fraternity, this Western thing. If unless all these things come, just calling it Hindu Rashtra for me doesn't make really too much of a sense.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this wonderful elaboration of what do we mean by Hindu Rashtra. So I will again go back to Digantoda. Digantoda. So correct, it's a very big article. So that's why I thought, okay, we should discuss this and understand the context which you are talking about. So go ahead and talk about the next topic that you had discussed in the article, or whichever flow
Sure.
you want to do this.
Sure, Kaushik sir are explaining very well some grim facts about the Hindu Rashtra, and I will way forward my deliberation that why Hindu Rashtra is needed, as said by our forefathers like Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, Rabindranath Tagore. For Swamiji to Sri Aurobindo, Bankim Chandra to Ravindranath, all have eloquently said that the rise of Bharat isn't possible without the rise of Hindu Dharma. Sri Aurobindo said in his historic Uttarpara speech, on 30th May 99, that when it is said that India shall expand and extend herself, it is the Sanatan Dharma that shall expand and extend itself over the world. It is for the Dharma and by the Dharma that India exists. To magnify the religion means to magnify the country. And in Swamiji's words, Swamiji was one of the most influential figure in shaping modern Bharatiya thought. Swami Vivekananda said, in India, it is the religion that forms the very core of the national heart. It is the backbone, the bedrock, and the foundation upon which the national edifice has been built. Politics, power, and even intellect form a secondary consideration. His teaching provided a synthesis of Vedantic philosophy and nationalism. We all know that Swami Vivekananda went to America in this month of September in 1893 and delivered his first speech in Chicago on 11 September 1893 at the World Parliament of Religions. Through this speech, he spread the message of Bharat and whose soul is Hindutva. Now, why I am saying this? This speech was an explosion of Hindu pride, an explosion of what Bharat truly is. It was the first time the world took note of what Hindu Dharma is. After listening to Swamiji's speech, the famous British writer Annie Besant wrote, a striking figure clad in yellow and orange, shining like the sun of India in the mazes of heavy atmosphere in Chicago. A lion said, piercing eyes, mobile lips, movement swift and abrupt. Nobel laureate and renowned writer Romarola said that after listening to Swami Vivekananda, who one lies down, he sits up. If you sit, you will stand up, and if you stand, you will start to run. And what were Swamiji's words? That were none other than the words of the Vedas. What did he say in his first speech? He said, uh, after the response to welcome, the first sentence which he said, I thank you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. Then he said, I thank you in the name of the mother of religions, and I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Hindu people of all classes and sects. Just imagine a 30 years old monk who told this profoundly in front of a 1,000 American audience. So in India, nationalism is very close to Hindu Dharma. You cannot disconnect it. You cannot separate it. All the freedom fighters of our country, both from the time of Vivekananda and after the passing of Vivekananda, drew inspiration from him and his Hindu nationalism. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was also deeply inspired by Swami Vivekananda. One of the irrefutable proofs of Swami Vivekananda's great contribution to our freedom movement is the report of the Sedition Committee, which was published in 1918. Uh, if you read this report, we can understand how much the British government was afraid of Vivekananda. They wrote that Swamiji becomes stronger after his death. In this report, the British government wrote, Vivekananda died in 1902, but his writing and teaching survived him, have been popularized by the Ramakrishna Mission, and have deeply impressed many educated Hindus. From much evidence before us, it is apparent that this influence was perverted by Varindra and his followers in order to create an atmosphere suitable for execution of their project. Vivekananda proved that with the emergence of Hindu Dharma, this country would emerge. In the darkness, Vivekananda was the light for this country. After his return from West in 1897, his lectures from Colombo to Almora awakened the nation. Swami Vivekananda gave courage to the minds of people who given up this time. He told, I am proud to call myself a Hindu. He used to say in different places that Hindu Dharma and Bharat are inseparable. Just like we have a body and soul, he used to say that if Bharat is the body, Hindu Sanatan Dharma is the soul. Swamiji told, if Hindu Sanatan Dharma dies from India, within 3 generations, India shall be dead and gone. We live in a country where our forefathers like Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo feel proud to call themselves as Hindu, but to see ourselves as cool and secular, we choose to be a Hindu hatred secular people. And we are not properly secular also. We are anti-Hindu and anti-Bharatiya culture and civilization. As mentioned by Kaushik Sir, that Hindu not only means a religion, it is a civilizational idea. It's a cultural value. So the problem is the mindset, which has been established in our mind uh, from the British period. And it's very unfortunate that where we have forefathers like Vivekananda, Aurobindo, and be a countryman of our great rishis. After independence, we became confused about our own ideology and became started followed ideas like Marxism and leftists. Just question yourself: in the land of Shankaracharya and Vivekananda, Lenin and Stalin will guide us. And these are the ideologies which are put in our mind, this concept in our mind that Hindus are problem for Bharat. I clearly remember a quote by philosopher Milan Kundera, who wrote in his book, The Book for Laughter and Forgetting, the first step is liquidating a people is to erase its memory, destroy its book, its culture, its history. Then have somebody write new books, manufacture a new culture, new idea, invent a new history. Before long, the nation will begin to forget what it is and what it was. This is
Diganta,
the
Diganta, I want to just actually the Koshi sir will leave in about 5 minutes. So I want to just take a segue from your last sentence you had mentioned, correct? That the identity of a group or an individual is very important, and that is linked to the socio-cultural aspect of a nation or a rashtra. So I will take a segue to this and ask the last question to Mr. Kaushik Gangotpadhyay. Sir, when we are talking about Hindu Rashtra, what do you think is the most feasible way? Like whether politically can we become a Hindu Rashtra? Can we become a civilizationary, culturally Hindu Rashtra and incorporate changes into the constitution? Like how do you see feasible we can do this, or is that can be done as well?
That's a very good question. Actually, it requires a lot of insight. So of course, first thing is without politics, nothing could happen. So as much as I don't think politics is sort of should be all and end all of life, but of course, without politics, nothing would happen. So it's sort of you have to sort of declare it Hindu Rashtra, and that's sort of the first staple thing. But it is sort of it's a long process. To me, Hindu Rashtra is sort of understanding, reclaiming your civilizational vision. And what is the Indian civilizational vision? India's civilizational vision is sustainability, dharma. That we want to create a sustainable world where everybody will prosper, everybody will find happiness to an extent. I mean, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, that's the idea. And that has to have a sustainable policy. Now, if you look at Western civilization, they are not based on this vision. They are based on a vision which I have called in my book, Majoritarian Myth, LTSE, Linear Theory of Social Evolution. So they will conquer. In America, there is something called a frontier phenomenon. So they have to increase the frontier, right? The American frontier initially was, in New York or Pennsylvania. Then it moved on to Chicago, then to the west, right, and to the California. So this idea you have to expand the frontier. That is called the linear theory. Now, of course, Western world was stupid because they did not know that there is something called environmental problem. Even in 1960s, 1970, there's a Club of Rome. There's a meeting happened, and there they first sort of talked about it. There's also a nice article that came by G. Lin on science, and it says that the origins of this environmental crisis lies in Christianity. He says that also. So then India's vision that has to be acquired is to be acquired in all spheres. So we have to create education. We have to, I mean, the NEP, this is creating education and all. I appreciate the efforts of the scholars who are involved in it. But this has to be an iterative process. You have to again change the curriculum to go to better direction. to make the curriculum and education much more empirical, much more experiential. Nowadays, we have a problem with people. These our kids, they just go to school, they just learn something and come back. They don't apply it in their life and all. That is not the Hindu idea. Hindu idea is whatever you are doing, you do it yourself, right? The idea of the Aruni, he was listening to the Guru. Guru told him that you can't really let any water escape from this, and he himself laid down right on this thing so that the water cannot escape. So this is an extreme, but this is actually shows the Hindu idea. Idea is you have to apply it, you have to do it through your experience. That has to be, this education has to be changed iteratively over time, and that will have impact. And the most important point is, which is we lost last 1,000 years, maybe more, the idea of karma yoga. Why is this leftist tendencies are rising? We all know that leftist tendencies, they don't give any solution and all, but still they are rising. The problem is we are creating a bunch of people who are not doing anything for others. So we are all raised up by our parents in middle class, right? Many of them in gated sort of communities. They don't do anything for others, so they sort of live only an individual existence. Now, the moment they go to college and the leftists say, well, you have to think about society and all, it seems a great model, it has a great moral appeal to them. Now, this is again nothing wrong with that. So, moral appeal left. So, that way, I actually respect a lot of the leftist people that who actually have a good moral sense that they have to live for the others. Unfortunately, many of the righties, they don't have that. I see them too many. I mean, people, they have a rightist sort of opinion, but they are too much individualistic. That unfortunately I see that also. Now, these problems can be solved by creating the idea of karma yoga, where actually everybody has to learn the why are we living in this world. We are living in this world to create a karma that will only help, that will make lesser and lesser bad, greater and greater good. And to do that, you have to have no expectation from your karma. It has to be only for the good of the others. It's an art. I am not saying that I have perfected the art. This is the art that we should perfect all over our lives, and that is sort of the goal of Hindu life. In some sense, this is forgotten. This has to come back, and this is not there in Christianity or Islam. That idea that you just do karma, this is also not there in your secular principles. I mean, they might say that, but they would not be able to create such a person. So this is something we Hindus have to give to the world. The idea of the doing karma just for the sake of having a good life for yourself and or for others, and to raise your consciousness, right? And then actually it is not possible if you believe in equality. If you are all equal, then what is the point of moving your consciousness up? So that's why you have to understand the Hindu vision of hierarchy of consciousness. There's a Buddha or Krishna who are at the upper end of the consciousness. There's an ordinary person in the lower end. And there are many stages in between, right? Vivekananda will be a stage, Shivaji will be a stage, that sort of a thing. And this idea has to be sort of inculcated in our education, in our action, in our society, in our culture. So for me, that will be the Hindu Rashtra. It might start with some constitutional amendment and all, but it has a much more greater scope, and we have to need also a great leader who will epitomize the idea of karma yoga themselves. So that is sort of for me, there is nothing, just writing Hindu Rashtra and that sort of a thing, for me it means nothing. And that Hindu Rashtra will have no problem to atheist, theist, nobody alive, because what I'm saying is true to all, right? For the atheist it's true, for the theist it's true, for the Hindus it's true, even for the Muslims it's true, right? They also want to do good to the world from their own way. But we are just showing a one way, our civilizational way. They can adopt it, they can reform and other things if something is not sort of consistent with this principle. And this is how we can create a much better world, by reforming all the religions and doctrine by their Hindu ideas.
Yes, thank you, sir. We really appreciate your time and effort coming here. So, sir would be leaving us, and we probably have one more guest coming in a bit later. But we will continue with Diganta Chakraborty. So, thank you, sir, again for coming. Really, really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me here, and I wish you all the best with the discussion to go on.
Thank you, sir. Digantoda, so now correct, Kaushik sir has given a very good segue in terms of our next topic regarding the fears of people of other faiths that okay, if Bharat becomes a Hindu Rashtra, we will be discriminated. Okay, there will not be political freedom. There might be some social changes which are would be abhorrent or antithetic to other people in terms of let's say um,
Mm.
maybe what we say people of other gender. Okay, so that those things are there. So I think you had discussed that part in your article. So why don't we start that? Yeah, please. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes. My sound is clear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Mhm. So, as I mentioned, these are the outside and borrowed ideas that fill in our mind, and this is the reason people fear about Hindu Rashtra. Have you ever seen any Hindu attack other religions or religious institutions for establishing their dharma? Have you ever seen? No. Still, our so-called intellectuals never use that term peaceful for our religion. So there are so many why, but the answer are quite the same. We see concerns in people's mind when any issues arise like Hindu Rashtra. They think other religions would be discriminated, other religions would be tortured if such anything happens. But what is the reality? They fear those who never attacked any religion in world history in the name of religion. So that is the narrative which always wants to defame our Hindu Dharma and Bharat also. In reality, India has a presidents, prime minister from other religions also. APJ Abdul Kalam was our president. So, in contrast to this, our neighbor countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh, where Hindus, despite being indigenous communities, really don't occupy such places. Uh, Indian Muslim population, if you see about demography, India's Muslim population has grown steadily since 1947, from 35 million during partition time to over 200 million, according to the last census of 2011. So this growth is not possible in a state that supposedly marginalized or persecutes the community. So compare with our neighbor countries like Pakistan or Bangladesh, where the Hindu population has dropped from 15% to which was in 1947, and now 2% in Pakistan. Should those who try to create a hodgepodge regarding these issues, portraying that they are concerned about Indian minorities, actually all are a play of IOS. So you must see that being a Hindu, if you proud to call yourself as a Hindu, you'd be labeled as communal. But in the case of other religions, if a Muslim or if a Christians are proud about their dharma, then they are religious person. So it's a narrative which is built in our mind from British era and before time. So it was cultivated in our mind through our textbooks and other books also. From colonial times, British administration fostered division by portraying Hindu unity as a threat to minority people. The divide and rule policy, that psychology was inherited by a large section of post-independence intellectual critics, particularly the left-leaning academia. I have just small question to those feared people uh, who tell about radical Hindutva, who use the term radical Hindutva. In reality, which is no examples, are they are not afraid about other radical groups, which we have seen in many times. Are they able to talk about secularism in Pakistan or Afghanistan? And when they talk about other religions would feel unsafe when such things happens. I just have a small question. Are Muslim women of Afghanistan much safer in Islamic country? A report published in United Nations website, which wrote 3 years of Taliban rule in Afghanistan has led to striking erasure of women from public life, which is also reflected at the community and household levels. A senior official with the UN agency championing gender equality said on Tuesday. It is a report which was published 2024. So women from Islamic regions are not safe in their own Islamic countries, and here people are feared about if a Hindu Rashtra is established, then other religions would be persecuted. So it's a very typical myth. It's a borrowed narrative which has put in our mind. So, why is that when Islamic nations proudly call themselves Islamic republics, there is a little outrage in global discourse? Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Syria. There are many. There are a lot of countries, more than 40 countries, which are Islamic country, and more than 40 to 50 countries in this world, which are Christian countries. These are not the problem, but the only nations. If India is announced as a Hindu Rashtra, it is the problem for our so-called intellectuals. So yet, eminent author Maria Reed in her book mentioned this topic. In her book, Why Hindu Dharma is Under Attack by Muslim, Christians, and the Left, she has pointed out this narrative where she wrote, first, those who educated Indians have a problem only with Hindu India, but not with Muslim or Christian countries. For example, Germany is a secular country and only 49% of the population is registered with the two big Christian churches, Protestant and Catholic. So a fundamental misunderstanding lies at the heart of the debate. Hindu Rashtra is not about setting a Hindu theocracy. Hindu civilization itself has no history of theocratic control. Unlike Abrahamic religion, Hindu Dharma doesn't rest on one book or one people or one dogma. Its essence is pluralism, acceptance, and debate. This is the only religion who says ekam shad vipra bahuta badanti. That means scholars express the same truth in different ways. If Bharat is to be called a Hindu Rashtra, it simply means that India acknowledges its civilizational roots, which is rooted in Sanatan Dharma. It doesn't mean non-Hindus will be persecuted from this country or will become second-class citizen. The inclusive nature of Hindu thoughts ensure that. In fact, it is the very inclusiveness that allowed Judaism, Christianity, and Islamic to flourish in India long before secular constitution were drafted. And Samiji had said it from the stage of Chicago. Instead of asking what is the problem of Hindu Rashtra, we should ask, why is Hindu Rashtra seen as a problem? Is it wrong for world's oldest religion, oldest living civilization to assert its cultural roots? It is wrong for Hindus, who form over 80% population in India, to expect recognition for their heritage in public life. If Islamic republics, Christian majority nations, and Buddhist kingdoms are acceptable, why must Hindu identity alone be demonized? The real problem, therefore, is not Hindu Rashtra, but the deliberate misinterpretation about this very topic. By equating it with the exclusion and authoritarianism, critics attempt to deny Hindus the dignity of their civilizational self expression. So, India's strength lies in its diversity, but diversity doesn't mean rootlessness. Hindu Rashtra, in true sense, doesn't threat minorities. It only affirms India's soul is very much attached with Hindu. The narrative of Hindu Rashtra as a danger is a manufactured fear, recycled year, the year of defame Hindus and our country Bharat. So meanwhile, the live reality of Muslim in India contradicts this fear, showing into the community that thrives with rights and opportunities, freedoms far greater than what Hindu enjoys in neighboring Islamic states. We should concern about this topic. So the time has come to call out this hypocrisy. I can't hear you. Am I
I was,
audible?
yeah, so yeah. I was
Kindly repeat
speaking on,
once.
yeah. So
Yeah.
as you mentioned, correct, the hypocrisy that we see today, correct, in our discourse, in our media, where the Hindu identity is considered or labeled as, let's say, communal, okay, but the
Yeah.
other religious identity is celebrated. So
Hmm.
that hypocrisy needs to be called out. And you mentioned, correct, you have Buddhist states, you have Christian states, you have Islamic states. So what
Hmm.
is a problem, and why people, the media or the academia or the lot of other people would have a problem when Bharat proclaims to incorporate its Hindu heritage, its Sanatani heritage, into the constitutional structure itself. So, in that context, why do you think the narrative that being Hindu is something which is guilty about, okay, for all the wrong things, how the narrative has evolved like this, and how it can be rectified so that the narrative which is that, okay, being Hindu is communal, can be fought, and it can be replaced with the real identity of dharma as the real character of Bharat.
Hmm. So first we have to look at who wrote our history. If we see our history mostly is written by those who once captured our land, and like British, Islamic. So India was independence not only 200 years, but India was independence much long. It's maybe more than 800 years, 200 by British and 600 years by many Islamic groups. So a country which was which was captured by foreign rulers more than 800 years, and the history which you are reading nowadays has written by those rulers. And after the independence, these rituals has carried by the leftist academia. So they portray these topics in their lens. In most of the cases, we have observed that we read what our nation was, what how much prosperous was. We read from the British lens. So first of all, we should indigenize our education system. And during NEP has started, it is going on, but I think there needs a rapid change in our education system, which is the only way to correct this narrative, which have been carried out more than 75 years after the independence. So, and if you say about media, the most of the media platforms, maybe it's newspaper, digital media, and TV media, we all know that they got foreign funds. So they view their thinking uh, according to the way those funding groups want to see them. So it's a very basic problems for our nations, that our own people didn't want to know the proper history, and they are the obstacle for us.
Okay, yeah, understood. So now we are going to now delve into a little bit of a current politics. Okay. So you had also mentioned in the article about the statements made by Satsang Dialogue of Mohan Bhagwat regarding who is a Hindu. So we are going to make a segue into the current contours of politics and people and how things are working. So if you like to share your views, okay, from your perspective, okay, about the current political scenario and how the Hindu identity is being maybe mischaracterized, misunderstood, and politically used in a not in a very how to say, a proper way.
Hmm. So this is the centenary year of RSS, and to answer these questions, the Mohan Bhagwat, who said that maybe on September 26, um, when it talk about this topic Hindu Rashtra, that he said that the Hindu Rashtra doesn't mean the Hindu nation is an exclusionary sense, but rather a state where no one is left out, but justice is ensured for all. So it was his point, because the views of Sangha itself is rooted with our civilizational values. So what is Sangha doing this 100 years to reconstruct it, these narratives, this history, our own culture, our old civilization, and from this context, when we are moving forward 2047 Vishwa Bharat, we should establish our own narrative, we should establish our own civilization, we should focus on our own systems. Those who claim that British came to our country and make it as a nation, I will just want to counter them through 2 or 3 points. People may oppose RSS, but if you read the book by Dharampal, The Beautiful Tree, who was a Gandhian philosopher and was a worker of um, uh, was a British archive in 80s and 90s. So he wrote that in 17th century, India shared 24, more than 24% GDP, and in the case of education system, India was then India was much rich than recent time. Uh, in the case of Bengal, there are more than one school um, in one village. So we are much more prosperous from the very beginning. Our own civilization says that our values and our ideas was much more prosperous. But for this Islamic and British invasions, who destroyed these ideas and put new ideas as they wanted.
Okay, so I got your point. Okay, let me check the points itself. I think we have covered most of the point that we have. Yeah, so one more important point that we actually you mentioned also there in the article itself, the double standards of international discourse about religious nationalism. So Hindu
Yeah.
Rashtra is again is associated with Hindu nationalism, and Hindu nationalism is a very bad word in media itself, or in also in academia itself. There are books have been written about to vilify Hindu Rashtra as some kind of a fascist state. So, would you like to share your opinion? Like, why do you think it's like that?
Kindly repeat this question. It was
Yeah, I'm
cracked.
asking, correct. So, you had discussed in your article about the double standards in international discourse,
Hmm. Yeah.
about Hindu Rashtra, about religious nationalism. And if you see, correct, the Hindu Rashtra is associated with a fascist state where people will have no rights. So why this vilification of Hindu Rashtra and creating a wrong concept of Hindu Rashtra by associating with fascist things?
When we examine the global discourse, we notice a pattern. Hindu identity, despite being one of the oldest civilization traditions, is often reduced to whether it's discussed or communalism. Meanwhile, other faith identities are presented with non-sensitivity and even protection from criticism. The answer lies in two forces: the colonial legacy and enduring impact of divine and rule policy. And in current context, um, that the framed Hindu civilization and backward and oppressed. The scholars and administrators are categorized and distorted Hindu traditions, turning a diverse living cultural into a rigid capture. And it's also colonization. Colonial lens did not disappear in 1947, and it got exported into Western academia and journalism. shaping how Hinduism is portrayed even today. Second, the colonial strategy of divide and rule, which is going on in current context also, that ensured that Hindus are never seen as a civilization people. Instead, the narrative emphasizes divisions in caste, religion, and majority against minority. These are their narrative which are still dividing our nations, which are still trying to divide our nation. These factors were politically useful for the rulers, and if you see that in many of the countries carry their own religious identity, maybe it's Christian or Islamic, but the only nation India, if we stand before the Hindu Rashtra, then it's become a problem, and it's become an international problem also. So it's an I previously mentioned that it's a narrative which always try to defame our dharma, and not only our dharma but also our country, which is uprising as a superpower. So global media influenced by Western academia and old colonial frameworks often adopts this selective lens. And reclaiming the Hindu identity's global discourse is not about dominance, it is about balance, it's about truth, and it's about dignity. So we must challenge these colonial hangovers and these colonized narratives, and only then we can see the world, what Hindu civilizational actually is.
Yeah, Diganta, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, 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 audible. Go ahead, go ahead.
Hmm.
Yeah, are you speaking or is there any audio? I think there is some technical challenge with the connectivity from Diganta.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Huh. So as I mentioned that the global media influence and Western academia and old colonial frameworks often adopts this as a selective lens, just to defame our Hindu values, our Hindu dharma, and not only Hindu dharma but also the uprising superpower, our nation's Bharat, and this is their motive to continuously defame our country uh, in global discourse.
Yes, so I think we have covered almost, I think there are a few more topics I think we need to talk about. Okay. And a few things are already covered that you had already mentioned. Okay. So now, from your perspective, okay, because you work with a lot of organizations, right, where so is there any from your perspective, what do you think should happen? The same question I asked to Koshik sir, so I will ask you as well. What do you think? What should like us as individuals or institutions or groups of individuals or organizations, NGOs, why they need to work and strive to make India, Bharat, a Hindu Rashtra?
Kindly repeat your question once. I didn't get it.
Okay, so I'm asking the same question which I asked to Kaushik sir, is that we as individuals, correct, as groups, as community groups, as organizations, as institutions, why we should strive to make Bharat a Hindu Rashtra in proper contextual way, as mentioned by Kaushik sir.
So yes. So why do as an individual I or you will see Bharat as a Hindu Rashtra? Because Bharat was never merely a piece of land, or it's not only was a geographical boundary. This civilizational is built is our own values, that is Sanatan values: truth, comparison, tolerance, and harmony. And uh, we should focus that many times people say that democracy khatre mein hai, and if India become a Hindu Rashtra, then democracy will be hampered. But this is India are still secular nations, just because Hindus are majority in this country. So why I say Hindu Rashtra, I don't mean a theocracy, as I mentioned before. I mean a society rooted with its own values, and it's very important for a nations to grow up to maintain their own values, which is rooted with their own civilizational identity. And for India, it is Hindu Dharma, as said by Sri Aurobindo or Swami Vivekananda. This is a very basic need. Swamiji said that in other nations, politics may be the main topic of discussion. For Bharat, for India, we should first prioritize our own dharma, and that is rooted with our Sanatana values. And today, many forces, both internal and external, are attempt to weaken our identity. They want to forget who we are, to cut off our from our roots. But a tree without roots cannot stand tall. To make Bharat a Hindu Rashtra is to ensure that our civilizational roots remain strong, so that our future generation live with pride and not with confusion. As individual, we wish this because we long for a nation where truth is not silenced in the name of secularism, where cultural confidence replaces shame, where unity diversity thrives under the shelter of dharma. So my wish for Bharat to be a Hindu Rashtra is simply, my wish is for Bharat to be herself, be fearless, be rooted with their own cultural identity.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think now we're going to take some questions from the audience. We have few comments and questions that we can discuss. So we have a comment from M. Shastri. He's saying, I feel we are apologizing for Hindu Rashtra. Sangh says Hindu Rashtra is already here. We should take them at their word and advocate for the next thing, Hindu Rajyam or Dharma Rajyam. Would you like to share your opinions on this?
Yes, which Sangwa is saying that this is already a Hindu Rashtra, and
Hmm,
we should take it seriously. And he
hmm,
said, I am fully agree with as said by Pujaniya Mohan Bhagwat ji.
hmm,
So I don't think there is any difference between Hindu Rajyan and Dharma Rajyan,
hmm,
because the meaning of dharma is duty,
hmm,
to maintain the proper duty, uh, and the meaning of Hindu Dharma, who maintains this their own duty. So I don't think it's between these two there are many some contrast, but dharma is the soul and raja is, as said by Swami Vivekananda, is dharma is the soul, India is its body. So a body without soul is lifeless. So similarly, a kingdom without dharma becomes a tyranny. As we observing in our neighbor countries, may it be Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, or and Nepal. So Rajya exists to protect and uphold dharma, as I think. And Hindu Rajyam doesn't mean as a state like we think in the cases of Islamic State or Christian state. So Hindu Rajyam, if it is a Hindu Rajyam, it would be a Dharma Rajyam itself. It's a very clear. It should be very clear to us. And Swami Vivekananda says Dharma is the backbone of India, and without it, the nation will crumble. And Guruji Golarka, the second Sarasanga Chalok of RSS, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha, who also mentioned us the political independence without Dharma would be a hollow. So true freedom comes only governance is rooted with Dharma. So, question is not whether we need Hindu Rajyam or Dharma Rajyam. The truth is, without Dharma, without Hindu religion, there is no meaning of a true nation, and without our Hindu identity, as said by Shamiji, within 3 generations, we lost our we will lost our nation. So we should keep it in our mind, and go through the way as directed by our forefathers like Vivekananda to Sri Aurobindo.
Uh, yes. So we also have our guests come here. Guests can ask questions as well. So, Aryan and River, I will add you in about 2 3 minutes. Just wait for it. So we'll take this question as well. A comment, not a question. merely changing the status of Hindu Rashtra in constitution is not going to change anything. The state have to acknowledge Hindu genocide, stop propagation of Abrahamic cults and similar superstitions. This is a comment from Quantum Politics. Uh, Vinodha, are you able to hear me? Uh, Diganta, can you hear me? I think. Okay, then let Diganta be come back. I am adding. Hello, RN Invader. Namaste.
Namaskar, Dada, and namaskar to the guest as well. Sorry, I can't see the name and I
Hmm.
sort of forgot the name also. Can you tell me the name of the guest?
Mr. Diganta Chakraborty.
Digonto, हाँ. So Digonto के अनेक नमस्कार. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
so uh, I have a quote to share and I also have a question that is, I've been thinking about it. I would like your answer. That is, uh,
Um,
secularism as a concept, even if we see the true meaning of secularism,
Actually, your
though,
sound is too cracking. Can you repeat,
Yeah,
please?
yeah, actually, exactly.
Very cracking.
So I thought only for my it is breaking. RN Invader, can you just check your connection because your audio is also a little bit breaking. And Vinodha, can you just share your comments or your perspective on this specific comment made by the viewer?
Uh, Kindly tell me the question.
Okay. Okay. The comment, okay, it's a comment, not a question. Its comment is merely changing the status of Hindu Rashtra in constitution is not going to change anything. The state has to acknowledge the Hindu genocide which took place for last 800 years and stop propagation of other faiths which are made sure that it has happened. We can see the Christian invasions, the Muslim invasions, where millions of people have been killed.
Hmm. So the centuries-long genocides, destruction of temples, and displacements of Hindu institutions under Islamic invaders and colonial rulers must be officially recognized. But I don't think uh, this is the only process. uh, we should rethink our history in our own lens, and if we able to put it in our people's mind what is the proper history is, what we actually was, what our forefathers were. So I think the work would be easy, and if state recognized it would be it would be more easy, but it's more easier than. But I don't think this is the only process. But yes, the centuries long genocide should be recognized. And I think I have read the book of Dr. Anand Ranganathan, Hindus for Hindu Rashtra, Hindus in Hindu Rashtra, where he mentioned these very topics. That in the a country of in a country like Bharat, where Hindus are majority, but they are treated like second class people, and it's a very grim fact. It's a harsh truth. No one can deny it.
Okay, so we also have with us Munshi Shastri. Is one of our regular guests who come and interact with us. So namaste, Munshi ji.
Namaste.
Namaskar.
Okay, so please go ahead and share your questions or any comments you have to me or to the guests.
Yes. I think we are already a Hindu Rashtra, right? I think
Yeah.
there's no there's complete agreement in that. But Hindu Rashtra actually does not mean that Hindu concerns are being addressed. We've heard the Sangh occasionally say that against the detriment of our own community, to say that the Kitabi community is part of Hindu Rashtra, even though it's like their own, um what do you call that? The tenets of their own, like, kitab, is extremely toxic to our own community. So, a Hindu Rajya or a Dharma Raja uh, will basically force the state to take all of our concerns and consideration, our anxieties and the problems that we face into consideration. We don't have to battle the state. The state, by law, will be forced to do it. So, this is why I feel like, we should take the Sangh seriously and basically go like, okay, हिंदू राष्ट्र तो आ गया है, अब हिंदू राज्य बनाना चालू करना जरूरी है. And that would take a 20-year project at least. You have to train a whole generation to think in that manner. With that said, like, in your opinion, how would you, if you were given a project, say, okay, come up with a pathway to build a Dharma Rajya, how would you envision that state would look like? How would you envision that Rajya would look like?
So, in briefly, your question is that Shanga already announced that Hindu Rashtra is already here. So now, how will make it in reality, right?
Not just Rashtra. I'm saying like moving from Rashtra to Rajya, right? Because Rashtra has its own sort of implication, right? So just because we are Rashtra doesn't mean the state will take our concerns into consideration. Oftentimes, it actually dismisses it, despite uh, having a so-called Hindu nationalist party in majority, right, or in power. A Rajya would basically force the Rashtra, a Hindu Rajya would force the state to take Hindu issues into consideration, not ignore them, not dismiss them, not play this monkey game of, majority minority.
Okay, so I'm just going to add one more thing to make it a little bit easy for the to understand. Take the example of temple freedom. Temple freedom is a Hindu Rajya problem, not a Hindu Rashtra problem. So what M. Shastri is talking about is when the state machinery, the administration is not taking into concerns of the Hindus, although we already are a Hindu Rashtra, but the concerns of Hindus are not being addressed. Example would be the temple freedoms. So go ahead.
Hmm.
Just one point to add. Am I audible? Just a
Yes,
small
yes,
point.
yes, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the basic crux of this point is the Indian state, that is the Indian Rajya, protecting the Hindu Rashtra, that is the culture and the civilization of the land. Is it doing enough to protect that cultural character of Bharat? I think that is the crux of the matter. So yeah,
I've basically
Diganta दाखल
concluded.
करतो.
I mean, I've basically concluded it's not. That's why we need the transformation.
Okay, go ahead, Devendra. Go ahead.
Actually, I don't have such specific answer of your question. But as I understand, what you were saying that the needs to make Hindu Rajya. So I think it's not a one day work. It's a long process itself. And as said by Sangha, that it's a Hindu nation already belongs, and there are some problems which we are talking about, like uh, in a state, in a Hindu state, our temples are paying taxes um, till this day. So there are such some problems which we are facing in present time also. Uh, I think it needs to be some changes. Mm, but from my opinion, if government change these problems, this will not only come into force, but whatever I said earlier, that we should reconstruct our opinion within our people. We should put our own narratives, our own Bharatiya narratives in people's mind. Then they will argue about these topics. So This is my opinion.
Yeah, go ahead,
It's,
Empathy, go ahead.
yeah. So I agree with your opinion, Diganta, that the people need to be made aware. But people who are involved in our policy, like the UPSC candidates and the people who are running our bureaucracy, if you look at the syllabus and training,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't think it's very
I should. I want to mention that
pro-
what you are going to say, that the syllabus. I personally filed an RTI to the UPSC syllabus committee about their syllabus and the UGC syllabus committee, especially in political science and history. So I mentioned it that we are supposed to make a nations which will follow the values of Vivekananda, Aurobindo, or Ravindranath. But what are taught in our syllabus, that is the Marxian theories and the leftist ideology. So it's a very basic point that if we want to change the discourse, we should have to change this in such prestigious platforms like UGC and UPSC. And I am agree with you in this point.
M.
yeah,
Shastri, do you have any other comments to make?
No, not really. I think that's kind of what Aryan Invader was pointing out is kind of what we should be bringing out in our discourse. Is basically like we have to turn the knob towards a Raja because Rashtra is not working.
Got it.
yeah,
So, Arun, innovator, you can speak, and then I think we are about like time is about to end, so we will finish the show in about 5 to 10 minutes. Go ahead.
yeah. So another thought I have been thinking about, I've been contemplating on this is that this idea of secularism, and we harp so much about it and we make a furore about it, that secularism is good. Many people who are in the Hindutva side also say that secularism is a good concept, not properly applied in India. But I've been in a thought experiment where I've been thinking that did India even need secularism? Because secularism was born as a response to a problem in a Christian dominated European context. So it was, Abrahamic civilization or Abrahamic culture which it was born. It was born as a solution to their problem. Did we Indians as a dharmic civilization even have that problem to which secularism as a solution is being proposed? So what do you think about this idea in the context of Hindu Rashtra?
Yeah, I want to add a point that I already have an article in Organizer titled "From Dharma to Dogma: Why Western Secularism Doesn't Fit in Bharat." So the point is that the very term secularism has emerged in this context during the oppositions with church and Christian states. And in the case of India, as mentioned by Sitaram Goel in his book, that the problem is not with secularism, the problem is with Indian secularism. And why? Because the secular in our country, the dharma doesn't means a theocracy. In our Hindu dharma, we said ekam sat vipra boda vadanti, or universe. We are talking about universal brotherhood. So it doesn't need a term like secularism because it already exists. Uh, our forefathers like Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna, who used to say that who used to agree with these ideas. And the term secularism, which is coined by Jacob Followick, I may remember in 18th century, it's a Western idea, and in our case, in the constitution, which many times it has said that Ganatantra khatra mein hai. So I want to point it out that the term secularism was not in the actual constitution of 1950. It was inserted in our constitution in 1976 during the Black era of emergency, and whatever I remember, it is the 42nd amendment. And during 1975 to 1977, most of the opposition leaders were behind the bars. And during these times, the Indira Gandhi government has emerged this time with our constitution. And as I know, the Constitution Assembly debates of 15 November 1948, I want to quote it, that people like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was not in the favor of secularism. Uh, to answer the question of K.T. Shah, Ambedkar family said that the state in India will be observed an attitude of neutrality towards all religion. So, when we are discussing about the debate of secularism, we must remember that the term secularism was not in our constitution itself. From its from when originally it was came into force. So, it also an it's also an subjugation to our constitution. Which was put in our constitution in 1976. I think the term secularism is not useful for our country because it already exists in our values of our with our dharma. And another questions, another hypocrisy, we may observe that the secularist people of our country who try to call themselves secular, who claim to be secular, that are they true secular? It was my question, and I argue with it that if they are secular, then why they consistently oppose the uniform civil code? These are individuals who identify as secular, oppose the uniform civil code because they believe all religions are equal. All religions are not equal. Yet paradoxically, they oppose the Citizenship Amendment Act on the grounds that everyone should be treated equally. So this is the hypocrisy of our secularists.
Mm,
Okay, I think we are ran out of time for today. Okay, so thank you, Digantoda, and thank you, the guests, Munshiji and RN Invader, for joining us and asking questions. So we will actually have, I think, one more session with Digantoda, maybe in Bengali as well, to discuss this important topic. Digantoda, last word to you. You want to share anything before we close the session?
Yeah, I think it was a good discussions about Hindu Rashtra, and at the last part we are discussing about secularism. So I think we should discuss about this topic much more, and we should discuss from our indigenous lens, not from the ideas talked about our Western thinkers and so-called secularist and Marxist people.
Yeah. I think we can actually discuss this in also in Bengali as well. So that will help to actually get more people to understand the contours of Hindu Rashtra. So we will have this session maybe sometime later. So thank you again, Digantoda, for coming. Thank you, RN Innovator. Thank you,
Uh,
Munshi Shastri, for joining. So Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.
Jai Shri Ram,
Jai
Namaste.
Shri
Namaste,
Ram.
Dhanyavad.